We're back! Nope, that's not gonna work. GoPro, stop recording. Hey guys, it's that time again. Daniel with Air Down here. Time to do some screw up stuff in the garage. What I'm going to do today, you'll notice this has been shaved. And if you saw my last video, I shaved it on a mill using one of my friends, let him mill it for me. Paid him in some alcohol, which is always good payment. And then now we've got to shave that ring gear. So that's what's going on today. I'm going to put that ring gear on the old carrier, put the old carrier back in here, and then I'm going to shave it until this bottom fits to the specs that Ballistic Fab has set, which I don't remember, but I will look up before I get going too much. But you gotta kick it off the right way. So what I need to do is take this cover off and then drink this beer, and not in that order. Maybe one day I'll get a hazy sponsorship. Wouldn't that be something? It's kind of late. My kids aren't in bed yet, but they will be soon. And I've got the Jeep literally right behind me, and it's backed up against the garage door already. All this junk in front of me, so I don't have much room to work, but through the magic of film, it should look as if I've got everything figured out. Okay, now you can clearly see how the bottom is shaved off of this thing. It took us a long time to do. We had a 3-inch fly cutter, and we still had to spend almost 3 hours cutting this down. If I could get all these dirty trannies out of here, I'd have a lot more room to do work. This is my original carrier out of that 10.5. So what we're going to have to do is pull the old ring gear off, just put the new ring gear on, no big deal, and then slip that whole carrier back into the axle. And then I'm going to do the like flap disc mow down as it spins kind of thing. Oh, it's so heavy. Alright, the next thing to do is to charge up my good old friend air compressor and get these off. Well, while I was waiting for that thing to charge, and it takes so long to charge, I slammed this tranny back together so that we can go get the core for it. So that's about how long it takes to charge an air compressor. Or at least mine. Shoo! Let's rattle gun these bolts off. Oh my gosh, really? Let's see if my little rattle gun will take these off now that I've gotten at least kind of worked a little loose. Yay. Alright, see what we got. Come on. Let them go. Okay, and yeah, they did put some kind of nasty Loctite on these. That doesn't bug me though. It really doesn't. It's a smart idea. So we'll thread these in a little bit, and then we'll just give it a little boot scoot with a hammer. Should be able to just be like, bit, bit. There it is. You usually get new bolts anyway, so I don't really have an issue doing this to bolts. Okay, and there you have it. This is my new ring gear. And you can tell just how much thicker the new one is than the old one. And that's not really a strength thing, but what it is the pinion is much smaller on this gear set because it's a 538 and this is a 373. So there's a lot less pinion teeth, so the ring gear has to come way over. So instead of different carrier brakes like the Dana 44, 30, the Dana 60, all that, and several other axles, this axle, no carrier brakes, the ring gears just get thicker. So that's kind of neat trivia anyway. So what I bought was USA standard gears. For the people who want to know all the specs. There's definitely no two ways about it. This stuff's heavy. Alright, here's the fun part. Use a shoe. And of course, I didn't open the bolts yet. And rather than just drop this, let's struggle. Another important thing to know about my setup and this particular gear set is what I opted for the doing the 10 1/4 gears in a 10.5. I don't have to shave the 10 1/4 as much as I would have had to shave a 10.5. Plus, and probably more of the reason is, it was really hard to find a 538 in a 10.5 without it being retarded expensive, and the 10 1/4 538 was much cheaper. So let's pull this onto the ring gear a little bit, or onto the carrier. I'm just going to wander around and feel the gap. That'll tell me which ones to do. Okay, we're there. Now I got to get it into that axle housing. Ooh, big heavy pig. Good start, good start. A couple of love taps and that thing should bottom out in this housing. Okay, I think I've got it far enough in to where I can drive it the rest of the way with the carrier bearing retainers. This is my wild guess at where these go, but I took a picture of it, so it's pretty far back. Let's see if I can find that. Such a smarty pants. I totally have a picture of how it goes in there, and I got it right on the first try. So now it's time to, looks like I'm gonna have to drive these shims in, and then I can put these carrier caps on. Nothing to it. It's a quick swipe to get all the dog hair out. Those bearings are chunky, but they roll, and that's all I care about. So let's see how the diff cover. You know, people always say everything's a hammer, but sometimes a hammer can be anything. I don't know. I think it would be really unfair for us to overlook that. They definitely don't just fit, so there will be some machining done after all. That's okay. I signed up for it. Anyway, we have to machine it at least an 1/8 inch is what it looks like. As I'm flap disking it, it should make a really nice circle of machine around these teeth here. So it'll also cool because I won't be focusing on one area for too long, and it'll also be even because it'll be spinning quickly while I do it. So, and plus it's not a grinder wheel, so it won't be attacking it. It won't be like whacking on that hardened brittle steel. So the flap disc can just let it spin. It's actually a really great tool and a really good thing to do for this, so I'm really not too worried about doing that. I'm back in the garage on a Saturday, and it's daytime, so I can make noise. So I'm going to do something that completely scares me, and I'm going to shave down this expensive new ring gear. And earlier I was saying that I didn't really know what the measurement was. I think take a 1/4 inch off, or maybe a 1/4 inch gap in between that and the bottom plate. But I've reread the instructions, and the deal is we want the diameter of this ring gear, the outside diameter, to be 10 inches plus or minus 10 thou. And I don't have a way to measure that right now. I was supposed to borrow some calipers from work, but I didn't. So I'm going to machine it, so that the bottom plate barely fits. And I'm going to get a feeler gauge in there, get a measurement, take this off, take it to work, measure it, and then when I come back, I'll know how much more feeler gauge I need. So when I stick it back on a second time, I have a way now to actually measure it a plus or minus 1 thou or half a thou easily. So let's get busy. But one thing real quick I wanted to show you. That is tungsten for TIG welding. So you know what that means? If I have tungsten, that means I got a TIG welder in the mail. So the garage is getting a huge upgrade, and I'm gonna start TIG welding. It's not something I know how to do yet, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm just gonna use a flat disc, and while I'm doing that, I'll glance up once in a while to this plane and make sure that I'm not like way off of flat. And I think it's worth mentioning, Ballistic Fab will do this for you for $45, but they're in Tucson. And I'd have to ship this, and if I can do it for free, that would be great. You just can't help but feel like super redneck engineer doing this, but let's give it a shot. Okay, well, so far I've been spinning this, and it's spinning really slowly. I kind of figured it would spin faster than that from other people I watched do this, and I got a long ways to go. I don't know how this is going so far. I don't think this is quite going as well as I was hoping, but I'm gonna keep going for a little bit anyway. That is heating up this angle grinder, something fierce. So I'm going to take just a little break here. But I'm getting a nice flat cut across here, and still these teeth aren't even close to getting warm, which means that I'm not losing the heat treating out of the gears at all. I mean, it's not even a degree different from the rest of the ring. Yikes on bikes, this is going to take me forever. Well, now it just feels like the bearings are all gummed up with junk. It'd be nice if I could get a little preload off of these bearings. I bet that would help too. I don't know if I can even get this to spin anymore. Huh, great. Let's see, well, what am I gonna do? See if I can relieve just a little pressure off of these bearing caps and see if that helps. Alright, well that's not great. This is pretty much given up on spinning. I can spin it by hand easily, but it doesn't want to spin with the angle grinder. I think just a little bit of chips that I got in there was enough to screw it up, so... Shoot. What am I gonna do? Okay, I think I've just figured out what I want to do. I popped a shim out that gives it room to spin freely. There's no more preload. I think I'm going to preload the bearing by hand, just like that. Then smash a cap down on top of it. And then, yeah, that'll spin free enough. And then these dirty, nasty bearings, which are full of rust and at this point full of metal chips too, should be able to spin for me for just a little bit longer. And now we can actually lighten up our grip on the angle grinder a bit. Yeah, there's barely any side-to-side play, so my height measurement should be accurate still. Not yet. Well, you can see how consistent that width is, and how consistent the cut is. So I'm really not worried about this coming out. I'm really not worried about this coming out nice. It is coming out nice. I don't know if it shows in video or not how much we've got, but the distance here, or the width here, the spacing from where we started to now is much. Boy, this thing's getting pretty hot though. I wish I had another option besides using this thing so hard. Poor thing's got so freaking many miles on it, you just don't even understand. Shop guys know, but man, this thing's got miles on it. I'm gonna have to find a new way to sit though. My feet are asleep. Oh, my foot. Ah! I don't know if you can see that gap now, but man, that is so close. Here we go again. Get some safety glass. Oh my gosh. No wonder I can't see anything. Yucky. Is my whole face? Yeah, I bet you my whole face is covered in oil. But I'm not going to show you. I don't want to be embarrassed in front of my friends. But it is strange to see this line right here isn't straight at all. It wobbles quite a bit. Man, you can hear how close I am. Are you kidding me? Also, I wrecked myself on this pokey trying to spin it like that. Yeah, right on this knife edge. In the instructions it says to cut that off so you don't hurt yourself. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? Wipe off the blood and keep fighting, I suppose. Aha! There you have it. Let's just see how close we are. That's like, I'm playing with like less than 1,000. I must be, because I'm not putting any pressure on that. Yeah, now it doesn't hit at all, so. I'm not even gonna, I was gonna put this feeler gauge under there, but I'm not even gonna bother, so. Oy. I'm going to use 3 old bolts to beat it out so I don't damage my nice new bolts. Old bolts. Just screw them in a little bit by hand. Dirty old carrier. I know, these are not accurate, but I just want to see if I can get a little bit of an idea where we're at. Sheesh, according to this, we got a lot more to go. Actually, I'm at like 10 1/8, no joke. So far, all's well, really. I just gotta keep going. So I want to stop here, talk to the shop guys, see what they say, and go from there. Back again. It is now several weeks later on this project. I've had a bunch of stuff go haywire, painted some rooms, had to fix the clutch stuff on the Jeep, had an issue with the fork, so I had to replace it. First things first, I want to mark out where this cover sits. I want to mark out where it sits, and I want to cut these sharp middle guys off a little if I can. I want to weld one little bead on the inside just to make sure everything's super liquid tight. This is what I've come up with. Just zit, zit, and then maybe I'll hit it real quick with the wire wheel or something. Okay, that makes things a little nicer for me. Time to get the ring gear back on this carrier back in there, and just keep on machining. Alright, guess I was done using that. Crap. Well, luckily, I'm pretty sure that I got this thing either 100% tight or really freaking close, so. if I took 2 screwdrivers and wedged the bearing over as I tighten the cap, it barely moves, and that is good enough for me. Now I can use a feeler gauge in between there, and I can tell how far I've gone and how far I've got to go. I've got a dial indicator. I'm going to get that dial indicator. I'm going to mark the high and low spots on the ring gear, and I'm going to, when I find the low spot, mark the opposite end and see where it's at, high and low. With that, I can use that measurement I got for the thinnest, or the smallest diameter part of the ring gear I could possibly find. Then once I have that, I'll bring that up to here, feeler gauge it, and then I'll have an actual measurement of how much more I need to machine off this ring gear. For your edification, I want to get this to where you can see it. This is my lowest low. Now I'm going to mark opposite of this minus here, 12. So if I count off 6 bolts, it's in between the 6th bolt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that should be, here we'll do a squiggle line. So that should be the lowest, the partner to the lowest low. Now let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in between. Yeah, so that's 180 out. The guys at work measured this ring gear with 12 thou run out, and with my dial indicator on this carrier, I am measuring 6 thou. So I guess it could add up to a total of 12 thou over. So the smallest they measured it at was 10.123. And the highest they measured it at was 10.136. Now that I've got my highs and lows, now I need to measure with the feeler gauges, and then that will complete the knowledge portion. Alright, so this is my minus. I'm going to bring it up to where that minus is in there. The 10 fits tight, but it fits. Okay, so easy. 10,000th 010 inch clear of the cover. Alright, so let's take another 1/16 of an inch radius, 1/8 inch diameter basically off of this. Well, let's find where my new minimum is, because that old minimum isn't my minimum no mo. This is new minimum, so I'm going to just throw it over here and make it small. So my final measurement needs to be 71.5, and right now I believe I'm at 40. Let's take the 20 and the 19. That's 39. Yep, that fits. Well, that feels pretty flat across. I still kind of feel like there's a bit of a taper. But it really only matters that the teeth are the right diameter. This, not so much.
Daddy!
Avery! Dad, you're creepy. Thanks for noticing.
Bye!
Bye-bye. Mwah. So I still have a little bit of a taper. It's 56 at the lowest point on the ring gear. and 51 at the lowest point on the teeth. So I've got a little taper. I'll take care of that now, but 56 and 71, they're pretty dang close, so I'm going to take a couple more grinder sessions. Just a mild cut on that one, mostly focusing on the teeth, trying to get that taper out of here. And trying to use the very end of the flat disc where it's the fastest. See if that could change, because I've been riding on the backside, on the inner diameter. Seeing if that'll change where my whoops are and flatten my teeth a bit, because they were rounded. And yeah, that worked exquisitely well. Right there, right there. The teeth have now gotten a tiny bit looser than the outer bit. Cool. That is sort of what we were aiming for, so. Okay, where are we at? 20, 40, 64. So we're at 64 thousandths. We gotta go to 71. So, close. And we got the taper to taper the opposite direction, which means that if we focus right in the middle on these last little bits, that'll be probably the perfect thing we could do. Look at all this dirt and grime, and I'm sick of it. I'm tired of this, and I don't want to do it anymore. So let's get this over with. Alright, this might be it. Let us find out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this kind of math in my head. So if we do 16 plus 17 plus 18 plus 20, let's do that. So that isn't quite it, but it's like so close. I bet you if we put the 19 in there instead of the 20, it would work. So, we're like a thousandths off of the nose. So, plus or minus 10, that's where we're going to get it. If we did 66 thou shim, and it always fit when we spun this ring gear, then we would be golden. And to figure out where we're not hitting the mark on that, let's put this back on. Okay, I'm going to zero this out. I'm going to go through, I think I'm going to go through real quick and get rid of every marking on this ring gear. That way I can start over with new markings. Now I'm going to go through and mark every spot that's over 5 thousandths away from my minimum, which is right here. So starting right here, going to here, and we'll mark where it's in. We go over again right here. Okay, now we'll mark the maximums with a line there. Okay, so that's all over. That's all over with the worst spot being there. That little chunk is over. And this large chunk is over with 5 thousandths randomly being hit right here, and then it jumps back up. Okay, so that's a pretty good map of where we want to play with. Okay, well, we've knocked this one down enough. Okay, I've made this kind of bumpy, just chewing on it like like I have been. But I've got it all trued to within 5 thousandths. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a quick spin, let it smooth everything out again. Kind of get rid of all the different visual textures here, which are kind of driving me nuts a little bit. That goofy finish seems broken up how I kind of wanted. So this right here is 66. A little tight right there. Okay. Now how about on the actual pokies? You know, it's pretty much there for the most part. Now this is 12 thou. 12 thou minus my tolerance, which is 5 thou. I am 7 thousandths out of tolerance on the too big side. 16, 17, 18, 19 is 70 thou. Let's see if that fits. It fits very tight. So on the pokies, there's a couple little spots where I'm 7 thou out of spec, and I'm almost within the plus or minus tolerance, and that's fine, and I'm gonna call it. So that's how close I was able to get it with hand tools. I am 7 thou out of spec on the OD, and I'm in spec on the undersize, which is really the most important thing. Just a little bit of wire wheel action on this just to polish the edges of the teeth slightly, and then a little sandpaper over the top of that, I think. Yep, that was exactly what the doctor ordered. All those edges are nice and smooth, no burrs, no lips to catch anything on. In a perfect world I'd use emery cloth, but I have this, and I'm not really worried about it embedding in the surface or anything, but alright. Now that's really nice and smooth to the touch. Alright, I consider this ring gear machined. There we have it. Okay, I get to say goodbye to this carrier for good. Okay, outro time. Here's my shaved ring gear. I spent a long time on it. I got it really close to perfect. Definitely more than good enough. And now I'm done. And I probably should have just spent 45 bucks plus the shipping to have Ballistic Fab do it, because it sure would have happened a lot faster and it would have been a lot easier. But here it is, shaved ring gear. Next step, welding the bottom plate onto that axle. Well, I hope you like this video. Hope you like this kind of content, sort of real world dirty fab. And if you did, I hope that you subscribe. Hope you like this video, and hope you catch me on my future stuff. Right, well, peace out. Go rock crawling. Bye.